Hey guys, it's Andy, back with something I haven't really done before on the channel. That being an opinionated list or top 10 list or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, as you can see by the title, this is going to be a list of my top 10 favorite Mega Evolutions to use competitively. Just gonna say now that this isn't based on like design or anything like that. It's strictly from a competitive standpoint. If I were to make a list of, just general favorite Mega Pokemon, it would probably be a lot different than this, but I digress. Like I said, I've never done something like this on the channel. I don't know if you guys are even interested in watching this, but I was just looking at different Mega Pokemon and I'm thinking, I like all of these ones. I ended up eventually making a list, and then I figured, wait a minute, maybe I could make this into a video, so in case anyone else is even remotely interested in hearing my opinion, they can do that from this video. But yeah, let me know if you like this idea, if you would like me to do more lists like these afterwards, or if you're not really interested in hearing them, just want me to get back to my normal Pokemon stuff, which I will be doing, by the way. I will get back to laddering soon. I have a team that I want to use. It's actually a rain team. I know some of you would appreciate that, and I've been meaning to get to it, but I just haven't really mustered up the ambition to do so. So yeah, in addition to letting me know if you're interested in seeing more of this or not, let me know if you're interested in seeing me ladder with a rain team. But anyway, we're at about a minute and a half into the video, and I haven't even gotten to the main point of the topic, which is, of course, the list. Speaking of rain teams, though, I do have a few honorable mentions that I just missed the top 10, one of them being Mega Swampert, the other two being Mega Blastoise and Mega Sceptile or Skeptile, which is kind of funny, 3 starter Pokemon, which I all like, but their Megas just are a little outclassed by 10 others, so I was unable to put them, in the list. I guess I'll talk about them individually. Mega Blastoise, I really like, it's just a tank, hits hard, takes a lot of hits. The main problem I have, though, is I don't really play UU, which is the tier it's in. I know it can be used in OU, however, this might even apply if I were to try to use it in UU too, but I feel like I would constantly want an additional move slot, because I would always want, Scald, Ice Beam, Dark Pulse, Aura Sphere, and then Rapid Spin. I would want the first 4 attacking moves most of all, because I'm using Blastoise. When I think of a Blastoise, I want to use it because of the raw power, not because of Rapid Spin. But if you're using Blastoise, you should probably be utilizing Rapid Spin on your team, It just kind of comes off like weird in my opinion, which is why Mega Blastoise is, all the way down here. As far as Swampert and Skeptile, they just came out recently and I haven't had much chance to use them this gen. That being said, though, on the list later there are some Megas that still have yet to be released this gen, so a little inconsistency there, but please bear with me. Anyway, also reasoning, I feel like I've never really gotten an opportunity to use Skeptile optimally. Like, I've just never found that niche where I've been able to do well with it. And Mega Swampert, I just feel kind of weighed down with the fact that, like, it basically needs rain support in order to do, what it does best. I know when some people use Mega Swampert without rain, like they just use a bulky attacker and sometimes even their stealth rocker. I would personally never use Swampert without rain support. If I'm gonna use a Swampert without rain support, I would rather just use non-Mega Swampert, which is, why I feel like it's a detriment that you kind of have to use rain with Mega Swampert, just because, like, I get kind of worn out with, using rain repeatedly because, it's like such a matchup-based playstyle, and it's just like really similar strategy every battle you'll use, which this may be contributing to why I haven't made that laddering video using the rain team. But enough of that and enough of the honorable mentions, and let's get on to the list finally. And one more thing I forgot to mention earlier. I basically only play by Smogon rules, primarily in OU. That being said, I'm not including anything that is currently Uber, including, Mega, Metagross, Lucario, Blaziken, stuff like that. And even with this restriction, I still had trouble narrowing down 10 or even 13 favorites. But I'm gonna try to now because we're at over 5 minutes. Good grief, I still haven't even gotten into the list. Okay, let's go. So at number 10, I have Mega Scizor. I've used Mega Scizor, quite a lot. Probably not as much as a lot of other people have, but I think I know enough about it to speak a little about it. That sentence made more sense in my mind than when I said it aloud, but I'm going to ignore that. I used it a lot recently in draft format, as opposed to OU, and my favorite set with it is bulky Swords Dance, U-Turn, Bullet Punch, and Roost, interchangeable with Knockoff. I also like the offensive set. Can't remember if that one runs Jolly, Max. I know it's Max Attack and Speed. I can't remember if it's Jolly or Adamant. I think it's Adamant because even if you're Jolly, you still get outsped by Heatran. But yeah, Max Attack and Speed, Swords Dance, Bug Bite, Bullet Punch, and Superpower to hit incoming Heatran. I also liked that set a lot last gen. Haven't used it this gen. I don't know, I just feel kind of shaky about using Scizor. I feel it's very matchup based. Like, if opponents have a lot of, like, Celesteela is everywhere. Hit it with the Flamethrower. Heatrans are everywhere. Basically everything has hidden power fire, even nowadays. While I think it has potential to shine, I tend to stray away from it because of those mons and those moves. But yeah, that's all I can think to say for Scizor. This entire video is unscripted, by the way, if you can't tell. But yeah, that's, like I said, that's all I have to say for Scizor, so let's just move on to number 9. Here I have Mega Glalie. I used it a little bit last generation. I used Mixed with 4 attacks, Ice Shard, Earthquake, Double Edge, or Return. I think it was Return actually, and Freeze Dry. Freeze Dry to hit things like, what was it, Rotom? Did I use this in OU? I can't even remember. Probably more so things like Quagsire, to hit 4 times super effectively. But recently, this gen, I've used it in Mono-type. Glalie was my Mega because for the longest time, Mega Glalie was the only Ice-type Mega evolution available. So if you wanted to use Ice-type into Mega, you basically had to use Mega Glalie. And I've grown to like it, mostly because of the speed tier. I like base 100s. And all the 8 abilities like Glaciate, no, it's not Glaciate. Yeah, Glaciate, Aerialate, Galvanize, whatever. It's really strong. I really like its ability to use spikes. It's pretty beneficial on mono ice teams, I've discovered. All around, I'd say it's pretty solid. I'm not sure if I would consider using it in OU, but for monotypes, I've grown pretty accustomed to it, and now that Mega Abomasnow has been released, I'm actually not sure if I want to replace Mega Glalie now. I'll have to think about it, because I'm enjoying Mega Glalie a lot, but yeah, that's all I really have to say there. So yeah, let's move on to number 8. Here I have Mega Garchomp. I haven't used it this gen, probably because of the nerf it got this gen, whereas most other Megas got a buff. Due to the auto speed boost, Garchomp actually got a nerf because it's actually a speed decrease. So the turn you Mega Evolve, you actually lose 10 speed. So not quite as best of both worlds as it was last generation. That one turn you could get your solid 102 speed while getting your base, 165 or whatever attack, and solid base 105 special attack. That being said, last gen I used a few sets. Started out using Mixed because I wanted to try, again, best of both worlds. I believe I had Draco, Fire Blast, Earthquake, and Stone Edge. I think that was a pretty standard moveset running around at the time. I did pretty well with the team, but I never tried laddering with it. By the time I laddered with it, I tried using Swords Dance on a sand team. I heard some things about it. Heard did pretty well against Stahl in a certain game, which I'm pretty sure most of you know about. So I won't bring that up. Anyway, as far as using it this generation, I think I would. Even though it got a nerf, I don't think it would be too much different than it was last generation. Yeah, you're missing out on that one turn of your 102 speed, but ultimately, it fills the same role that it filled last generation, which is just pure stall breaker, either with Swords Dance, 2 or 3 attacks, depending on if you want substitute or not, or, like I said, you want to go mixed with Fire Blast, Draco Meteor, etc., Earth Power even. Yeah, I would definitely consider using it this gen, though I haven't yet. Might have to build a team around it and use it. But yeah, that's all for number 7, or number 8. What number are we on? I don't even know. Let's move on to the next pick. So in this next spot, I decided on Mega Venusaur. I've always liked it. Back in the early X and Y days, I used it primarily defensively. That would be the Mon I had on my team that would take the majority of hits. Although admittingly back in those days I wasn't really as much into competitive, as I am now. I played a lot of in-game battles, and in-game Wi-Fi battles aren't genuinely the most competitively viable opponents you're gonna find, but Mega Venusaur did help me through those times. Once I did sort of evolve into a more competitive player, I experienced more with offensive Mega Venusaur. I believe I used it in a laddering episode last year, an offensive build, and I believe I actually used one this year too, also an offensive build, with modest max special attack and a little bit of speed, the rest in HP, with Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, HP Fire, and Synthesis. For defensive sets, Leech Seed I also used, though I don't know if that's standard or not. Sleep Powder is also in there. Earthquake if you want to go mixed or hit certain things, like steel types that are immune to poison and don't mind grass. Although you do have HP Fire there for a lot of things like Scizor and stuff. Knockoff, also an option. I feel like with how much I've used Mega Venusaur, there's still a lot that I haven't done with it. And I'm kind of looking forward to maybe using it again sometime, so I guess I'll just wait until that happens and move on with the list. In the next slot, I have Mega Medicham, which may be surprising to some of you because I know for a long time Mega Medicham was kind of like my go-to or my favorite, but in the past, 6 or 8-ish months, I've kind of grown tired of Medicham, basically. Back when it was still kind of not used as much, I felt like, it was cool to just come in and do so much damage with High Jump Kick or Zen Headbutt. But nowadays, okay, not so much now, but at the end of ORAS especially, I really got sick of seeing it and even using it. But nowadays, I don't mind it as much. It made it back onto my top 10. Still a little lower than it would have been a while ago, but I couldn't not put it on the list just because how good it is. High Jump Kick is pretty spammable. Some people opt to run Drain Punch over it. I would never recommend that unless you're in draft format and know your opponent's bringing a lot of ghosts or something, or a lot of protecting or spiky shielding mons or baneful bunker mons, something like that. Always go for power. That's what makes Mega Medicham so good. Same with Zen Headbutt over Psycho Cut. Other moves I like to run are Ice Punch, of course, to hit Landorus, and Zen Headbutt I like now especially because after a recent laddering attempt, I actually got walled by Mega Venusaur, go figure. Because I was utilizing Thunder Punch along with Electric Terrain in order to boost Thunder Punches to 2-hit KO like Mega Sableye, Oko, I believe, Toxapex, stuff like that. Maybe not Oko, but deal massive damage to it. That's basically what this mon does, though. Deals massive damage to anything. And from this point on, the rest of these mons are going to be kind of notorious for dealing a lot of damage, aka wall breakers. So without any further ado, let's get on to, I believe, the top 5. Like I said, I don't remember what number we're really on, but just pretend for a moment that you're watching a more professional YouTuber who actually keeps track of this stuff, and let's move on. Alright, I checked, and we are at the number 5 spot, so my memory isn't as bad as I thought it was. Anyway, in this spot, I decided to put Mega Mawile. I never got to use Mega Mawile back in X and Y or Oris. I think it was actually sent to Ubers before Oris came out. I never used it before it got sent to Ubers because I didn't really like its design, and I didn't like the fact that seemingly everyone was using it, and the fact that it was like Sucker Punch. I just don't like the move Sucker Punch, really, because I think it turns the game into more of a guessing game than it already is, which I'm not really a fan of. However, when I actually get around to using it, I'm starting to see like how people probably think to play with their Mawiles, like when they would realistically Sucker Punch and when they would like Swords Dance or just straight out attack. So it's becoming less stressful to play against Sucker Punching Mons now that I'm actually using Mawile, and I'm really liking using Mawile. I laddered with it a few months ago and completely decimated a few stall teams that I faced on the ladder. It also does relatively well against, standard, like, offensive teams, primarily due to the aforementioned Sucker Punch. Move slots, this thing has a ton. Well, let's start off with the Sucker Punch, Swords Dance, which we already mentioned, Play Rough, Iron Head, nice solid stab options, Thunder Punch to hit things like Toxapex, Celesteela, Fire Fang to hit Celesteela, also Ferrothorn, Scizor, stuff like that. I've seen some with Stealth Rock, but I think that was just a lack of Stealth Rock on anything else on the team. I would never recommend Stealth Rock on something like Mega Mawile, and I feel like I'm forgetting other things as well. But yeah, Mega Mawile's just an all-around great mon, I feel. I think it may get sent to Ubers again, but I'm definitely gonna enjoy using it, while it's still available. So yeah, that's all I have to say. In the number 4 slot, I have Mega Gardevoir. As you may or may not be aware, the first laddering video I ever did featured a team using Mega Gardevoir. I was actually pretty proud of that team because I made it, pretty quickly, just throwing together some of my favorite mons like Mega Gardevoir and Salamence and stuff. And it actually turned out to work pretty nicely. Back in early XY, I tried using it, and I didn't have access to Hyper Voice Gardevoir, so I had to rely on Moonblast, and because of that, I didn't do very well with it. But once I moved to Showdown or got Hyper Voice on an in-game one, I really started to enjoy just spamming Hyper Voice with Mega Gardevoir. It's also got, strong Psychics. The only things it doesn't appreciate are Steels, which it does have Focus Blast for, but I think everyone knows the trouble with Psychic types having to rely on Focus Blast to hit, Steel types. Of course, you could give it HP Fire, but, bulkier things kind of need, the high base power of Focus Blast in order to really take them out. Other moves that can run reliably, Thunder Wave, which I've personally never used, or is it Will-O-Wisp? I know Gardevoir gets at least one of those, and I've never used either of them. I've always been more of an offensive type of Gardevoir. I think it gets Wish too, or maybe Healing Wish. Calm Mind, I used Calm Mind on mine in addition to Hyper Voice, Psychic, and Focus Blast, and that moveset did pretty well for me. I think it also gets Destiny Bond or something. It gets a lot of goofy moves that I've never used with, and like Mega Venusaur, I'm excited to finally start using them. I think Mega Gardevoir gets released very soon, alongside Lopunny and stuff. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that, even though Tapu Lele exists and may kind of surpass it in the fact that it gets Psychic Terrain to boost itself. So while it doesn't have insanely strong Hyper Voices, it does have insanely strong Psychics. Not to mention you can give Lele a Scarf or a Z Crystal, whereas if you use Mega Gardevoir, you're having to use up a Mega Stone. So I'll still probably end up using Gardevoir just because I like it so much. But yeah, that's all I have to say for Gardevoir, so let's move on to, I believe, the top 3. In this spot, I have Mega Heracross, a Mega which I never really used until Did I even use it yeah, I used it last gen in game. I never actually laddered with it, but when I finally got around to using it, it definitely kind of surprised me with like how good it was. By the time I got around to it, I was more of a like bulky offense type of player, so I could appreciate the fact that while getting slower, it got like a huge boost to attack in addition to skill link, improving moves like Pin Missile, Rock Blast, Bullet Seed, I believe that's it. Yeah, because it has like Arm Thrust, but I think that's weaker than Close Combat, so... In addition to those moves, it also adds Swords Dance, which I've recently used and have loved. Close Combat, of course. Knockoff, I've seen some with Substitute. That's all I can really think of at the moment. Before Mega Evolving, I like to give mine Guts. That way, if I do get burned, I'll just not Mega Evolve and then have, a nice attack stat. Thought about Moxie too. Moxie would be nice if you can like kill something while you have that nice 85 speed before Mega Evolving. Then, Mega Evolve, lose the speed, but you're already at +1 attack, so you're looking really good. Although, like I said, you do have access to Swords Dance, though that does get rid of a move slot and take a turn, so definitely a lot of different ways Mega Heracross can be used, and I believe I've only used... Last generation, when I used it in-game, I had like a Jolly one, but that was because of the mechanics back then. There was that one turn where it still had the base 85 speed, so it could really benefit from that, but this year, as soon as you Mega Evolve, you lose that speed, so I'm not sure if I would use Jolly one this generation, though I think that's becoming more standard. I don't know, I've really liked the bulky one, the one I used in my recent laddering video, but like I said, with the past few ones, I'm excited to maybe try some more stuff with this one. So, let's move on to the top two. These two were very hard to decide which one I liked more, but ultimately I decided I preferred it this way, with number 2 going to Mega Pinsir. Throughout most of last generation, I did use Mega Pinsir to somewhat success, but it wasn't till this generation when I really started to appreciate just the standard moveset that pretty much every Mega Pinsir runs, with Return, Swords Dance, Quick Attack, and then either Close Combat or Earthquake. Earthquake being for Magearna, Close Combat being for like Celesteela, Skarmory, stuff like that. Between the two moves, I kind of prefer Close Combat, although I believe when I laddered I used Earthquake. I can't remember though. I definitely think both moves are viable though. But like I said, yeah, that's basically it, the only 4 moves you need, and it's just so good that even if an opponent knows this set you'll be using, it still does well. Oh, also there's Feint, which I know is kind of a thing last generation. I've yet to see it this gen, but just as a move that gets like an additional priority move, I think it's like along the lines of Extreme Speed. Maybe not that fast, but I think its priority is above that of Quick Attack. But yeah, I prefer Quick Attack myself, though. I think Feint is more of a gimmick to catch people off guard, and after last gen, I think people are aware that they can have Feint, and no one's really running Feint anymore that I know of, though that may come back again. Some people can catch some other people off guard with, Feint Mega Pinsir again. But like I said, I'm content with those 4 moves. If you get an opportunity to Swords Dance, you're in a very good position because you have that very strong Quick Attack in addition to anything that doesn't outspeed you just gets destroyed by a Return or Close Combat or Earthquake if you're Steel type. And like I said when I laddered with it a few weeks ago, I think it's really good right now with this recent influx of like Mega Medicham, Heracross, stuff like that. Mega Metagross getting banned. Yeah, I think it's got like the perfect speed right now, in addition to, very strong attacks and Swords Dance to boost that, so not much bad to say about Mega Pinsir other than it needs proper team support in, hazard removal and stuff like that. But no sense really getting into that. I think I said all I needed to say about Mega Pinsir, so let's just move on to the final member of the list. My current favorite Mega Pokemon to use right now is Mega Charizard Y. It faces the same problem as Mega Pinsir when team building, meaning that you need proper team support, more so for Charizard than Mega Pinsir, because usually by the time you bring out Pinsir, it's time to sweep, or at least wall break, and then sack it in order to have something else sweep. But for Charizard, it's going to be doing a lot of switch-ins, not to mention when Pinsir comes in, at first, it's regular bug type, so it only takes a quarter of its health, but every time Charizard comes in, it loses, half its health instantly if rocks are up, so proper team support is necessary, so it can be a little frustrating when team building, trying to fit proper support. Speaking of frustrating, missing Fire Blast is also not very fun, but when everything goes right with Charizard, like hazards are prevented or removed, Fire Blasts connect, Focus Blasts connect, and stuff like that, Charizard Y is just so fun. The most fun I've had in a long time with competitive Pokemon. Because unless your name is like Chansey, you're not going to appreciate a sun-boosted Fire Blast. Not to mention its self-sufficient Solar Beam to hit incoming water types, coverage move in either Focus Blast, Earthquake, some are running HP Ice now to hit Landorus and Zygarde. I think when I used it most recently, I ran Earthquake. That was mainly to hit like Toxapex and Heatran, but final move pretty much universally gonna be Roost, because it's got decent Spadef too, so it can take some hits, especially in the sun, like I believe Scarf Keldeo Scald is barely a 2-hit KO, so I just checked and it's not even a 2-hit KO, so like if you're inverse Scalding Keldeo in the sun, you can just roost up on that thing, then hit it with Solar Beam for a guaranteed OHKO. The thing I like most about Charizard though is just the fact that you can come in, click Fire Blast, and basically kill something. Unless opponents got like special walls like Chansey or stuff, and if they do, you just gotta play around that, and that can be rewarding in itself, like, properly playing around a team to the point where Charizard can come in and just click Fire Blast. Like, an ideal game for me would be like playing an opponent to the point where I either weaken his special walls to the point where they can't take Fire Blast, or just like take them out somehow. Just thinking about using Charizard is fun to me, and it's definitely my most favorite Mega to use right now because of it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I think I can say about this entire topic. It's kind of astounding to me that I've been rambling for almost half an hour about this, but if you're still listening, then thank you very much. Let me know your personal top 10 favorites, and like I said, let me know everything else, like about the laddering with the Rain team, if you'd like me to make more opinionated lists like this or whatever. But overall, just thanks for watching and supporting. I believe with that, I'll end the video. No sense dragging this out any longer. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys.